Hello, and welcome to the Fear Channel, a channel with regular broadcasts telling the most chilling of urban legends, ghost stories, and forays into the darkest corners of the human mind. Those faint of heart or prone to night terrors should proceed at their own risk. Tonight's story is European Bigfoot.
So my friends and I were heading for woodland territory in northern Europe. We're in the northernmost region of Finland, just a few miles southwest of the porttipahtan reservoir. A while back we had decided to hike to this old abandoned Cold War-era military facility. It only took us about 2 days of hiking to reach the place. It was a pretty beautiful trip for those first couple days. Each day was spent exploring the wilderness and pistol shooting. By nightfall, we set up a camp in one of the empty warehouses. Afterwards, we went outside, set up a campfire, and started cooking stew. All of a sudden, we hear the loudest, weirdest roar I've ever heard. We practically shit ourselves, grab our rifles, and stare into the darkness. Something is moving 100 meters out. We hear it rushing through the woods into the facility area. We stand there, silent, listening. Then it stops, and suddenly it is dead silent all around us. Just the sound of the stew slowly boiling on the fire. We look at each other and have a brief chat. After some discussion, we decide to forget about it, and continue on with making and then eating the stew. The next morning we wake up and start packing. Everyone is making jokes about how we got scared of some bear. That's when my buddy sees something lurking on top of the biggest facility building in the area. We try to have a look at what it is, but it's too far away, probably 200 meters. It's just standing there on two legs, probably staring at us. The thing is huge, maybe over 7 feet tall. I reach for my binoculars to have a good look on who is trolling us with a fursuit. And just as I find my binoculars, my friend starts shouting. I look at the creature, or whatever it was. It seems to be running down the facility wall insanely fast like a lizard. By now it is clear that this thing is not human, nor any animal I know of. It disappears behind one big bunker structure. We decide to get out of there fast. We're scared out of our minds even though it is broad daylight. As we are hiking back, we don't take any breaks before nightfall. As the sun sets down, we make a camp and start preparing supper. Everyone's a little tense, so we try to joke around. We eventually decide to do guard duty during the night. My shift is from 1 to 3 a.m. Birds are singing like crazy, which is normal for them at night in this area. And I managed to see a lone rabbit hop through our campsite like it was no big deal. Suddenly, the bird stops singing, and the rabbit stops, raises its head like it's listening to something. The rabbit books it like it's running for its life. I feel very uneasy and flick my flashlight on and shine it towards the darkness. I'm hoping to see the glimmer of a fox's eye or anything that could have explained the strange behavior of the other animals, but the forest around seemed empty. Just as I'm putting out my light, I see something moving behind the bushes about 100 meters away. It was something big. I shine the light directly at the bushes and try to get a good look through my scope. I managed to see something moving there, and I believe I saw a pair of yellowish eyes. Then it stands up. I don't know to this day what the fuck it was, but it was hairy looking, very dark, and had some type of face. The face was a much lighter color than the hair, and there were definitely 2 yellow eyes. The thing was around 7 feet tall and roughly human-shaped. Although I didn't get a good look with my shitty flashlight, I was 100% sure that the thing wasn't a human, so I started panicking, raised my gun, and started shooting. I emptied the whole 25 Butler Creek mag in about 3 seconds. I didn't even aim. My buddies woke up and started shouting, and it was all chaos for half a minute. I tried to tell them what happened as fast as I could. Having dropped my flashlight, I didn't even know if the creature had been hit, or if it was still there anymore. One of my buddies came over and picked up the flashlight, shined it directly in the direction I was pointing my gun at. And there it was, just standing. Suddenly, the thing just kind of falls down and starts slithering towards us, making no noise at all. We start screaming, grab our packs and guns, and start hauling ass out of there. We must have ran about 10 kilometers straight up before taking a break. All of us were shaking, and none of us said a word. We walked the rest of the way to the public campground in DEFCON 1, weapons ready and listening to every sound. I've never been as happy as I was to see some German tourist grilling sausages by their RV. They all were so surprised when they saw us exit the woods with guns blazing in low-ready stance. We said nothing, completely ignored them, walked to our car and drove away, breaking pretty much every speed limit on the way. We talked about what we saw the whole ride home. None of us really were exactly sure what we saw, but we knew it wasn't human, and it wasn't exactly animal. We all decided to stay away from that area for a while. It wasn't until a year later that we decided to be tough guys and try and find out what the hell that thing was. This time we went with a couple of all-terrain vehicles, in case we needed to bail out fast. We took 2 cameras, along with our rifles and large rounds. There were 4 of us who went this time. We also brought a couple pipe bombs in case things got out of hand. We make it back to the facility. Everything looks normal and the birds are singing as they should. There's no sign of anything abnormal. We decide to map the surrounding area and look for anything suspicious. Nothing was found on day 1, so we make camp at the same warehouse as we did last time. Night falls, and everything is still normal. Once again we did guard shifts, but nothing happened. The next day, we start exploring the woods around the facility. We found a peculiar pile of dead trees. It looked like someone had hauled them there, so we go over and take a closer look around. The trees were arranged in a manner similar to a massive bird's nest. In the middle of the nest, there was a half-rotten moose carcass and tons of different animal bones. We start quietly retreating back to our campsite after seeing that. We park our ATVs next to the warehouse we keep our camp in. Upon heading inside, we find all the camping gear torn up, the somewhat expensive camera smashed against the floor, food taken, and sleeping bags torn to pieces. We took everything we could in like under a minute and started driving the hell out of Dodge. It's evening by the time we get back to the public campground. A police officer stops us by the entrance and checks our gun permits. The officer proceeds by asking us if we want to volunteer for a search operation. Our ATVs would be much appreciated. Some hiker had apparently gone missing in the nearby forest 20 kilometers from the facility site. We look at each other and shake our heads. One of my buddies quickly says something about being late, and we drive out of there. We later found out that the dude who went missing was found dead. We decided that we wouldn't go camping or hunting in that part of the country anymore.